Salveta. We're back again with Epistle 33. And this one is really at the heart of why we're reading Seneca. He starts off and says, Pueris et sententias edescendas damos. He says, we give proverbs to children to be learned. Edescendas is a gerundive there, to be learned. Et has quas Graeci krias vocant. And those things that the Greeks call kreas. And we usually spell that in English Chreias. Quia complecti illas puerilis animus potest, qui plus adhuc non capit. Because the mind of a child, which cannot yet take on more, is able to embrace them. That's why we often have children memorizing things, whether it's songs or poems or sayings. That's just the way that a child's mind naturally works. It gravitates to those kinds of things. And so we give things to children to be learned that way. But then he goes on to say, Turpe est, seni aut prospiciente senectutem, ex commentario sapere. He says, it is disgraceful for an old man, or one who can see old age, to be wise from a notebook. That's a curious expression, to be wise from a notebook, a commentario. He says, impera et dic quod memoriae tradatur, aliquid et de tuo profer. He says, take command and speak what is entrusted to memory. Offer something of your own. So there comes a point in your life where you don't want your wisdom just to be what you've read in a book. Right? At some point, you want to, as he says, take command, impera, et dic quod memoriae tradatur, and speak what has been entrusted to memory. So you're not just reading it out of a book, but you're sharing it from memory. And then even going beyond that, he says, profer aliquid de tuo, offer something from your own experience. So it's not, again, just living off the words of somebody else. He says, aliud autem est meminisse, aliud scire. It is one thing to remember. It is another to know. Okay? So remembering things, reciting them for a test, yeah, that's one thing. But really deeply knowing something and making use of it, that's real education. Quid ergo? What then? Non ibo per priorum vestigia? Shall I not follow the steps of those who have gone before? And we know that's not true because he's already said that we should think about people who've gone before us and use them as models. So he says, ego vero utar via vetera, sed si propriorum planioremque in venero hanc muniam. He says, indeed, I shall make use of the old way. In other words, I'll make use of that which has come before and what people have said before me. But if I shall have found a more suitable or plainer way, I shall build it up. In other words, I'll make use of it. So I learn from the past, but if I find something better that comes along, then I make use of it. Or maybe I take use of it and put it with what I've learned from the past and make something new. It says, qui ante nos ista moverunt non domini nostri, sed duces sunt. I think this is a key thing to learn from our classical studies here. He says, those before us who have set in motion those things are not our masters, but our guides. So Seneca himself, Cicero, Catullus, Horace, all the others that we have read, these are not our masters. We don't have to just follow them slavishly, but we use them as guides for wisdom today. Patet omnibus veritas, he says. The truth lies open to all. Nondum est occupata. It has not yet been taken over. Multum ex illa etiam futuris relictum est. Much of it has been left even for those in the future. So he's saying, sure, you learn from the past, but you don't just stay there. You take use of it, you employ it, and maybe you discover some other things yourself, because there's still things to discover about the truth, even for those in the future. Waleta.